Hello everyone, now before I start, please allow me to apologise in advance if I fail to correctly pronounce any of the names in this video. Like pretty much everyone else during the last 2 months, I've been watching the news about Russia's invasion of Ukraine and, as far as I can tell, no one has examined the timing of the invasion. Why did Putin decide to launch the attack when he did? There seem to be a number of factors. Following its independence, Ukraine formed a unitary republic under a semi-presidential system, with separation of powers into legislative, executive and judicial branches. It also declared itself a neutral state, forming a limited military partnership with Russia and other CIS countries, while also establishing a partnership with NATO in 1994. In 2013, President Viktor Yanukovych suspended the Ukraine-European Union Association Agreement in favour of closer economic ties with Russia, resulting in mass protests and demonstrations. This led to the overthrow of Yanukovych and the establishment of a new government, who sought closer economic, political and military ties with the West. Many in Russia, particularly among the Russian government, would have regarded this as a humiliating rejection, prompting Russia's annexation of Crimea in March 2014 and the war in Donbass the following month. This triggered a protracted conflict with Russian-backed separatists, which in turn provided Russia with a chance to prepare for future invasion. During February 2022, Russia held the presidency of the United Nations Security Council, which meant they had to launch the invasion before the month ended, so they were able to use the presidential veto to block a Security Council resolution condemning Russia's actions, even though it had been accepted by the required majority. Now, as far as I can tell, this veto is not the same as the one held by Russia due to its position as a permanent member of the Council, which are mainly used for blocking a candidate for Secretary General or the admission of a member state, and not in critical international security situations such as the Ukraine invasion. It may now be possible for further action against Russia to be implemented, but we probably have to wait for May when the Security Council presidency passes to the United States. On 23 May 2021, according to his press service, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko personally ordered Ryanair Flight 4978 Athens-Vilnius, carrying 6 crew and 126 passengers, to be redirected to Minsk National Airport after a false bomb threat was made. Despite the fact that the plane, which was still in Belarusian airspace, was only 45 nautical miles, 83 kilometers 52 miles south of Vilnius, and 90 nautical miles, 170 kilometers 100 miles west of Minsk, Belarus sent a MiG-29 fighter aircraft to escort it to Minsk, possibly due to warnings that any bomb on the aircraft may be set to detonate as soon as it crossed the border. When the plane landed, Belarusian journalist and opposition activist Roman Pratasevich and his girlfriend Sofia Sapega were removed from the plane and arrested. Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya has called for an ICAO investigation of the incident, but given the relatively muted Western response, Putin may have been emboldened to take his own actions against the West, if only to avoid appearing weaker than Lukashenko. As a former member of the KGB, Putin has always had a somewhat complicated relationship with other nations and political groups, especially those in the West such as the European Union. Of course, the biggest issue here, which may have factored into Putin's decision to launch the invasion, was the fact that many EU countries rely on Russian gas and oil, meaning outright condemnation from them would give Putin a reason to administer a little psychological blackmail by threatening to cut off supplies, especially given Russia's demand for other nations to exchange their currencies for the ruble when submitting payment. Having watched the Ukraine situation develop, it is quite clear, at least to outsiders, that most senior figures in Russia's government and armed forces are not capable of doing their job properly. This is likely due to the fact that, because they are so scared of Putin, they insist on telling him what he wants to hear instead of what he needs to hear. A good example of this is the assertions that Ukraine's armed forces would be able to fight back, the people would welcome Russian forces as liberators, and Kyiv would fall in 3 to 4 days, all of which turned out to be absolute BS. Although remarkably fit for a man in his late 60s, Putin is clearly not in the best of health, with speculation that he is suffering from various ailments, such as Parkinson's disease and thyroid cancer. The latter appears to have been treated by the administration of steroids, which can not only cause puffiness in the face, but have been known to trigger aggressive feelings. In addition, there are some clearish indications, such as the use of a food tester and the recent mass sackings, that he may be suffering from paranoia. Perhaps like Q in the recent episodes of Star Trek Picard, Vlad's feeling concerned about his health and wanted to make a bold gesture to secure his place in history. Well, he certainly managed that. I mean, given what's happened, Putin is likely to be remembered as being more bad and dangerous to know than Lord Byron. And this was a man who kept a pet bear at university because he wasn't allowed to have a dog, took a bag of pork scratchings to parties, and walked among the guests with a pig bladder condom hanging out of his pocket. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to like and share. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll be back soon with another video.